How y'all doing? Hope everybody been good. Know y'all ain't heard from me in a minute. I'm talking about every week. Boy, it's been about 3 weeks. Been tapped in with these playoffs. But we back to regular scheduled programming. Try to get back to y'all every week with a new video. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the book, The Psychology of Money. We did the Next Millionaire Next Door. We did the Freedman's Bank. We got this one today. Definitely recommend it. Super cool read. Talking about money investments from a couple different perspectives, a lot of cool stories, and very digestible as well. I got some quick notes. Please, with the notes, don't look at the spelling, don't look at the grammatical errors. I was just really scribbling. I was gonna turn it into a whole PowerPoint, but I was ready to get to it today, man. So that's what we're going with. Go over about 5 to 6 chapters. Try not to talk our heads off. Every time I say that, I talk our heads off. But if y'all stick with me, man, I truly appreciate it. First one I'm going to go over, this is not the first chapter in the book, but the first chapter we're going to talk about wealth is what you don't see. If you don't read the book, at least check out this chapter, because this is really what we've been talking about the whole time, of understanding what real wealth is in our community. I think we have a misunderstanding of that. If you see somebody in a nice car riding around, you're going to automatically assume they're rich. But that's not the case most of the time. A lot of these folks didn't have that much money and spent most of their money on a car. Somebody driving a $100,000 car might be wealthy, but the only thing you know is they had $100,000 less than they did when they bought the car, or they're $100,000 in debt. And that's what we have to learn in our community, like what real wealth is. Real wealth is having money put up, assets put up, your savings rate really high. Because then it goes, the next question that is like, what is our purpose? A lot of us are we really trying to acquire wealth, or are we trying to look like it? And there's nothing wrong either way, but if we're trying to acquire real wealth, we have to understand what it really takes. And that was a really hard realization for me. We judge wealth by what we see. You can't see the bank statement or the brokerage account, so we rely on outward appearances to judge success: cars, homes, Instagram photos, etc. A lot of us can relate. When we were kids, we thought wealth was the house, the really nice car, the jewelry and things like that nature, because that's what was ingrained in our mind. I seen, like, my parents talk about designer and wear designer, so I'm thinking, dang, I'm supposed to get that. And then when I got to where I'm trying to learn about being better with my money and learn, the financial literacy, you learn that's not really acquiring wealth. That's really hindering your journey. You know what I'm saying? And you, like we just said, you have people that put the work in, they've acquired assets, and they've built up real capital and real wealth, and they might live flamboyant from there. But the problem I see a lot of young people that haven't quite got the assets yet, and they haven't put in the time yet, and they're buying the really nice things, but it's not doing anything for them in their financial journeys. If anything, it's hurting their if anything, it's hindering their financial journey. So that's my question of, what's our purpose? You know what I'm saying? Are we really trying to acquire wealth, or are we just want to look like we're rich and whatnot? And either way is cool, but for my people that's trying to acquire real wealth, we have to understand the actions and the lifestyle of what that takes. In our culture, I don't even know why I left off at, my bad, y'all. In our culture, what we spend our money on is the determinant on if we're wealthy or not, and that's not true. We have to change that, and you have to ask yourself, what's your purpose? The hard part about it is you don't get any validation for doing the responsible thing with your money. I remember my brother, he got a Porsche for prom, and I've never drove a fast car, so I had drove on it, posted and everything, and folks had thought I bought that car. You getting all the praise in the world, I'm trying to tell y'all, this my bro's rental, you know what I'm saying? But compared to okay, you tell people you're debt free, you know what I'm saying? You get crickets for that. So in our community, we have to change that of understanding what real wealth is, and what we have to really start emphasizing and putting our focus on. And I'm not saying if you buy a car, you know what I'm saying? But for most people, a lot of people that buy cars, is really hindering their financial journey, if we're being honest. What most people say when they want to, and the quote from the book, what most people say when they want to be a millionaire, they might mean they want to spend $1 million. That's the opposite of being a millionaire. Wealthy versus rich. Rich is current income, wealth is income not spent. It is the options and flexibility to one day purchase more stuff than you can now. And that's the delayed gratification. So I think a good example of that is a professional athlete. When you're a professional athlete, essentially you're rich. Now, what you do with that money from there is determining on if you'll become wealthy in the future. And a lot of times, a lot of folks might be crazy when they be like professional athletes going broke and whatnot. But if you think about it from like just a basic math perspective, if you get $1 million and you spend $1 million, a lot of people are like, oh my God, how you do that? It's not that hard, especially if you've never been responsible with your money before. If you have $1,000 and you weren't responsible with your 1,000, when you get to 10,000, you probably not. If you come across 10,000, you're probably not gonna be responsible with that. Compared to you get 100,000, same thing. And another common theme is when you see people they hit the lottery and they go back broke. Like it's not that. What's the word I'm looking for? Like it's not that surprising that they do, because they don't have the mindset for one, and they have a misunderstanding of what wealth is. So they go buy all the things that they think is gonna make them wealthy, and they're just gonna end up back broke. And all they got to show off is the stuff that they got that's gonna help their egos. But that's not doing anything for your family. That's not doing anything for your freedom. So we got to start switching that. What we see, we put the work in, so we deserve to reward ourselves, right? But does the reward have to bring your financial future? And that's one thing I definitely disagree with a lot of people I see, where they're like, I work hard, so I'm gonna reward myself, and they just blow all their money. So in your younger years, it's sort of kind of like a balance. Hold up, y'all can't really see my scale, but I got my scale. Oh, there it go. So on the one side, you have it where you're young and you want to enjoy your life, and on the other side, you have it where you want to be responsible and take care of your financial future. And I think you can sort of kind of try to find that balance, but don't tip the scale too far to where you're just having all the fun and you're not doing anything for your financial future. You know what I'm saying? Because then it's sort of kind of like you're on a treadmill. Okay, I work hard, I get my check, I blow all my money on me. Then I work hard, I get my check, and after a while you're just gonna get tired. Like, and it's not either way, it's not wrong, but I just feel like the other side of, like, if you go through a season or some seasons where you actually increase the gap between what you make and what you spend, and you have money saved, you're just going to view life a little different. But you have to delay the gratification. You have to go through that season of missing out, which most people don't want to do. It's easy to find rich role models, but it's hard to find wealthy ones, because wealth is what you really can't see. There are wealthy people, like I was saying in the beginning, who spend a lot of money on stuff, but even then you see the richness. We don't see the savings, investment portfolios, and retirement accounts. We have to start emphasizing that. We got to do that first, then we can do the extras. And the hard thing about it is when you do that, you're not getting no praise, and it's going to take years to get there. Like I said, most people don't want to wait years, they want it now. Most people want to be wealthy, but we've been trained since youth to have money is to spend money. We don't see the restraint it takes to actually be wealthy. And the main thing I want to take away from that chapter is ask yourself, like, what's your purpose? Are you really trying to acquire real wealth? And the next part of that is, are you willing to do what it takes to acquire real wealth? This is like I said, it's a real hard realization for me of, like, you think you learn. It's like you learn 2 + 2 = 4, and then one day you learn 2 + 2 = 5. You can be like, what the world? And your brain is trained one way so long that you might not want to flip. But you have to if we're talking about taking care of our families, acquiring that real freedom. That's why we did The Next Millionaire Next Door. And we're talking about the psychology of money today. But if you haven't read that book, please go read that, because the average person doesn't understand that the average millionaire drives a regular car in America. The average millionaire doesn't wear designer. In our community, the only millionaires we can think of is the rappers and the athletes, and that's a very skewed view. So we have to flip that. Next chapter we're gonna go with is saving money, and I don't know if that's the actual name of the chapter. Hold on, let me see what the chapter name is. Yep, the name of the chapter is Save Money. Building wealth has a lot to do with your savings rate, not your income. And I got a video coming up on, like, trying to have where my extremists at. Not extremists like the terrorists, but like extremists like you're very extreme with the certain things, and having a high savings rate. A high savings rate means having lower expenses than you could have, and that's what I'm saying. Like, where are my extremists at? past a certain level of income, it's the basics in your ego. And he talks about with the savings rate, he talks about your ego. And I never really thought about it that way. Like I have, but I haven't. Saving money is the gap between your ego and your income. And that makes a lot of sense. So let's say I made $3,000 a month take home. And I want to have, okay, so you got your necessities, say transportation, so you have a car, or you have a crib, or you have clothes, like I got a shirt on my back. Then you have your sort of kind of, it's not really a necessity once it becomes luxury. So I have a really nice car, but it's a luxury car. That's really optional. That's an ego purchase at that point. I have a shirt on that I need to wear a shirt, but it's a designer shirt. That's an ego, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not really needed. It's just showing people, hey, I got money. And a lot of times people have those things, they don't even have money. So saving money is the gap between your ego and your income. And we have to control our egos as well. Like that's really a lot of what the money stuff comes to. Like you remember we talked about where it's saying like most people's money problems have nothing to do with money. It's a lot of emotional trauma, a lot of ego that we deal with that causes to spend and make us feel important. But like I said, is your spending hindering your financial future? We got to start thinking like that. Everyone needs the basics. Once that's covered, it's another level of comfortable basis. Ego approach income. Spending money to show people that you have or had money. Instead of raising your income, raise your humility. You have to show folks you're doing something. Like we always want to show folks that, hey, look what I got, da, da, da. And it feels really good to get the praise, but are you going to let praise destroy your financial future? And a lot of times we get caught in that hamster wheel. I had to make more money just to go spend more money on more materialistic items. That's not, you know what I'm saying, that's not the way, because it feels good when you can wake up in the morning and you don't have to think about a bill. Not because you don't think about bills because you make so much money, but because you have your low expenses. You start really trying to focus on what's really important to you. And I'm going to be the first one to tell y'all, bro, I'm going to probably get me a nicer car one day, get a nicer crib, all that. But I'm not going to do it now, because if I get it now, like I said, it's holding me back and taking me longer for my financial journey, and it don't really mean anything right now. When you define savings as the gap between your ego and your income, you realize why people make good money and save so little. A lot of people's money just go to all the nice purchases. America is built off of ego. If you look at going back to the 20s, the 50s, and even coming up now, like I got the book, I know it's backwards, but The Overspent American. We're going to do that soon, where we're talking about why do we as Americans spend the way we do. And it's built into our culture. Like, we got to have more. We got to have the nice thing. We got to have what they have. And we're going to talk about it for sure. And that's where we have to, like I said, we have to get away from that. We have to do the opposite of that. We need to get back to saving money, having a high savings rate. You don't need a specific reason to save. If you're saving for a new car, a house, cool. But we have to get used to just saving in general. Like, there's nothing wrong with just having money in the bank. And we ain't trying to do nothing with it. It's just know we got it in case we need it. Like, that's where we start getting our freedom and our peace of mind. The world is unpredictable. Savings is a hedge against that unpredictability. And that goes back to freedom. You have options of flexibility when you have money saved. You can make things happen on your own terms. When you don't have control over your time, you just have to take what life gives you. And when you're egotistical with your spending, a lot of times the materialistic items take away from your freedom. Because, like I said, going back, if I have a regular car and a regular crib, I can save money compared to if I get the luxury and everything's just luxury. Super duper nice car, super duper nice crib, really, really nice clothes, expensive clothes. I can't take off. My car break down, I can't afford it because my bill's too high. I don't have no freedom in my life compared to the person that's chilling. You know, he can take off when he want. He don't like the job, he can quit his job, and he ain't got to rush to the next job because he got money saved. So we have to understand that. You think differently when you got a couple dollars up. having more control of your time and options really value. Saving money gives you that control. So that's what we have to understand of, like, controlling our ego and understanding how important savings is to us. Like, when we have dollars saved, you can think differently. And remember, we talked about start with an emergency fund. Start with, if you don't got, say you're going from 0, let's get to 500. Start an emergency fund. Let's get to 1,000. Let's get to a month of expenses. Let's get to 3 months, then get 6 months. Just keep going from there. You can never save enough money. All right, what we're going to do next, y'all? Next chapter, we're going to talk about freedom. And wealth, the savings, the freedom, they all tie in together. The highest form of wealth is being able to wake up and say, I can do whatever I want today. A common denominator of happiness is the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want. Is priceless. So they had a book in the 80s. It was written by Angus Campbell. He was saying having a strong sense of controlling one's life is a more dependable predictor of positive feelings of well-being than any of the objective conditions of life we have considered. So basically, when we can do what we want, we have control over our life, it makes us feel happier. Money's greatest intrinsic value is its ability to give you control of your time if you let it, because if you're not careful, the things you buy with the money will control you. Damn, boy. He said, damn, I'm trying to, he said one with that. Golly. This goes back to my point of being super duper materialistic. If all your money is going to materials, you don't have no control of your life. You have to get up in the morning and go to work to go pay for the materials, like the cars and the nice cribs and all that. And after a while, for most people, it gets tiring. Now, for some, like, not everybody, but just chill sometimes. Value freedom in the sense of, okay, I might not have the luxury car, but my bills are paid. Like, I have money put up to where months and months and months in advance, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? A small amount of wealth is the ability to take a few days off of work when you sit without breaking the bank. Say you just want to take out just because. You know what I'm saying? Going back to having money saved. You can do that. Work got me tired, right? Okay, I'm going to chill out for a couple of days. And I ain't got to think about, am I going to be able to make the rent or not? You know what I'm saying? That's what we had to get back to. But we're never going to get back to that if we're constantly just buying materialistic things that we can't afford. A bit more is waiting for a good job to come around when you're laid off rather than having to take the first one you find. Going back to the money saved. Like, if I have it where, okay, I lose my job. Obviously, I'm going to be super... Okay, let's think about it from... I have my expenses, my monthly expenses, $3,000 a month, and I have $1,500 saved. Compared to my monthly expenses, $3,000 a month, I have $20,000 saved. I have $1,500 saved and I lose my job. I am super duper stressed. How I'm gonna make my rent? You know what I'm saying? Compared to, I lose my job and I have $20,000 saved. I'm still super duper stressed, but I'm not super duper stressed. I'm a little stressed. Like, I just lost my job, but I'm good. My bills, I have 6 months of bills. So I'm gonna try to go out and find me a job at a fast pace, but it's not the end of the world. Like, I had, you know what I'm saying? I can take my time with it. I can take, you know what I'm saying? I don't gotta rush it. Compared to the $1,500, I gotta take the first job I got because I have to have that bill money. You know, I was just talking to my cousin recently, and he had lost his job, and he was talking to his grandma or something. She was like, boy, ain't no way you da. But he had money saved when he lost his job, so he's good. Obviously, he's trying to find a new job, but you know what I'm saying? Just the power of having money saved and having a little bit of freedom is life-changing. Then from there, we just want to keep gaining even more and more freedom. Like, when we look at where we're trying to get ahead in life, let's look at it from the perspective of gain more freedom. So I have 6 months of expenses saved. What about when I get to 2 years of expenses saved? I'm going to really be looking at life different then, you know what I'm saying? I think the freedom money brings is really powerful, and I can think of so many examples of this. 6 months of emergency expenses means not being terrified of your boss or being able to take whatever job you want. Or a medical emergency, you know what I'm saying? So remember, we talked about 3 months, 6 months. Let's try to get to 6 months. And then for 6 months, let's try to get to a year. Like, when you have money saved, you're going to view life completely different compared to when you don't. Because when you don't, you can't really think ahead because you have to think about now. How am I gonna pay the light bill? How am I pay the rent? We gotta start thinking about it from a freedom perspective. But how we get there is not being materialistic. I know everybody wants it where I can just keep making more money, but that's a rat race that we're going to lose, and we have to realize that. Not everybody, but for the average person, we are going to lose if we keep thinking that way. My bad, y'all was just talking shit. Let me chill. Doing something you love on a schedule you can't control can feel similar to doing something you hate. Psychologists call this reactance. People like to feel like they're in control. When you try to get them to do something, they feel disempowered rather than feel like they made the choice. They feel like we made it for them, so they rather say no or do something else. There was a story in the book, and he was talking about this dude. The dude was talking about his friend. And okay, this is Midtown Manhattan paying $20,000 a year. He getting paid $20,000 a year. He never ate out, never took a taxi. Cost of living $1,000 a month. He's earning $1,800 a month. He did that for 2 years, and he saved $12,000. So he 22 years old. He has $12,000 saved. Once he had $12,000, he quit his job and became a full-time musician. He got a few gigs a month to pay for his cost of living, so he was free from there. He quit his job a month later and never had a job again. Living, so he was free, quit his job a month later. So look at that situation. Like the average person, if they had $12,000 saved, what they gonna go do? They about to go buy. They gonna put that money down on a car. Like we have to start thinking about life from a freedom perspective. And this, what this example give me, also we have to be content with our own situations. Like we have to learn to delay gratification and learn to stay down for long periods of time. I know like the 90-day run shit is cool, but what about 2-3 years? I'm trying to get on that myself. Like I'm on year 1 right now. I got another. I'm trying to do 3 to 5 years. And it's hard because you want to have the fun but you got to have it where you can say, okay, I put this work in now, and 5 years from now I can have all the fun I want. America's the richest nation in the world, but there's not much evidence that citizens are happier today than they were in the 50s. So this is a 2019 poll across 140 countries. 45% of Americans said they felt a lot of worry the previous day, and the global average was 39%. 55% of Americans said they felt a lot of stress the previous day. The rest of the world was 35%. Americans have used their wealth to buy bigger and better stuff, but at the same time have given up control over our time, and that cancels each other out. So we have to realize that we can't keep playing the game of materialism. Or we can, you can do what you want, but I don't think we're going to win playing that game. So we have to flip it. And I'm just being honest, in our community, I don't think we're going to flip it. Hopefully we do. I'm trying not to be pessimist, but I just think a lot of us just too far gone. Control of your life makes people happy. I got a code. I'm trying to do 3 more, maybe 2 more. Let's try to get this out of the way. Let's knock it out. This is the first chapter of the book. Maybe I should have started out with this. My bad. I'm just skipping around. But it's named No One's Crazy. And basically the basic summary of this is like everybody's lived life experience is different. We're all born into different circumstances and situations. Everybody's experience and views are different based off how they grew up, and that's what they've gone through. Different parents, different incomes, different values in different parts of the world, different economies, different job markets with different incentives, with different advantages and disadvantages, learn different lessons. And you could think about that from the angle of like, look at people you went to school with. A lot of us grew up in different backgrounds. We lived different different life experience, so we view life a little different. But I think it's all beautiful because we're all different, but we all like respect each other in a way, and we all learn from each other. The person that grows up in poverty thinks about risk and reward in ways the child of a wealthy banker cannot fathom if he tried. And he talks about like during the Great Depression, like obviously with the Great Depression, you had 1/4 of America without a job, people starving. Then he talked about like how JFK was running for presidency at the time, not during the Great Depression, but when he was running for president, he was talking about his experience during the Great Depression. And he was saying like his family he didn't relate to that. His family did amazing during that time. I have no firsthand knowledge of the Depression. My family had one of the great fortunes of the world and worth more than ever. Bigger houses, more servants, more travel, etc. He said he didn't learn about the Depression until he read about it at Harvard. So that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody's lived life experience is different. He can't relate to starving, and you know what I'm saying? He can read about it, but he was doing good around that time. We can read about what it's like to lose everything during the Great Depression, but we don't have the emotional scars of actually experiencing. Like, me personally, I can't relate to ever going without a meal in life, but I can read about it. But even then, reading about it, I can't really, you know what I'm saying? Compared to somebody that's actually going through that. Studying and living through something are two completely different things. And then he was talking about how there was a study of this economist had performed where what Americans do with their money. It turns out people invest their money based off of lived life experience in their early adult lives. If you grew up in the stock market was strong, you invested more in the stocks later on in life compared to people who grew up when stocks were weak. They invested more in the bonds and things of that nature. Stocks, for example, you're born in the 70s, the stock market increased tenfold during your teens and 20s compared to if you're born in the 50s, the stock market was flat during your teens and 20s. Inflation, you were born in the 1960s, the inflation was super high during your teens and 20s. If you're born in 1990, inflation has been low for most of your life. And I think we can relate to that. We look at our generation right before us, the stock market has been doing great these past, 20 years. And we look with inflation, like I graduated in 2020 and we know inflation has been going crazy since then. So we are having these different live life experiences. And I even look at for like us as African Americans, like I was thinking today, like remember I talked about when I had went to my family's family reunion, and it was so like bittersweet to see like how far we've come as a race, because my great grandpa, he was a slave, you know what I'm saying? So then I had to go look at my grandparents and all the hardships they dealt with, and it's sort of kind of bittersweet because it's like, look at where we at now. Like, we're doing so much better now, but the fact that they even had to go through that, like, just look at their real life experience. You look at another example he's talking about is the unemployment rate in 2009 was 10%, but for black males 16 to 19 without a high school diploma, it was 50%. White women over age 45 with a college degree is 4%. Why do people in the lowest income bracket buy lottery tickets? He giving this quote from the book. We live paycheck to paycheck and savings seem out of reach. Our prospects for much higher wages seem out of reach. We can't afford nice vacations, new cars, health insurance, or homes in safe neighborhoods. We can't put our kids through college without crippling debt. Much of the stuff you people who read finance books either have now or have a good chance of getting, we don't. Buying a lottery ticket is the only times in our lives we can hold the tangible dream of getting the good stuff that you already have and take for granted. And that's something I've really, really, really had to understand these past couple of years of, like, trying to help people understand, like, being better with money in the sense of, like, a lot of people are so materialistic and are such consumerists. And it's not their fault because, like I said, we're going to talk about it in another video, but we're trained from birth to be that way. And it's really hard to unlearn that, So a lot of us think we're just supposed to spend on things, and I'm not saying it's not okay, but like I said, we're talking about from building wealth perspective. It's sort of kind of gonna like, it's a what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's a self-destruct. Like it's not going, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna keep clashing. America is always evolving, and nothing stays the same. So. And a lot of things, if you look at America, like, if I'm not mistaken, America's a fairly new country compared to other countries. This year will be its 250th birthday. I think a lot of these countries been, like, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but, like, you look at, like, Britain and all that, like, they've been around forever, haven't they? If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think 250 is young as a country. America's always necessary. So we look at retirement. So in the book, he's talking about retirement as a new concept. Before World War II, most people worked until they died. So more than 50% of men aged 65 and older still worked. Social Security came into place to help with that. So 1980s, I think that's when they really started you talk about like retirement and things. The 401k, the retirement savings, that didn't exist until 1978. That's 1 year before my mama was born. The Roth IRA wasn't born until 1998. That's what 3 years before I was born. Even if you look at college, it took less. College too, my bad, y'all. I told y'all, boy, I was just scribbling notes. Like, I was reading and then just writing as fast as I could just to catch up with the book. Less than 1/20 of the people in 1940 had a college degree. 1/4 by 2015. The average college tuition in that time has grown more than fourfold. So, index funds, those are less than 50 years old. Consumer debt, you remember, like I said, we're going to talk about that in the Overspent American, but that didn't really take off till World War II. All this stuff is new. And America's always transitioning, evolving. We're going through ebbs and flows. I think right now we're going through one of our ebbs of, like, prices really high. People are really, a lot of young people are somewhat, like, we really, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, we feel defeated in a sense. And I just want to be the one, not, like, you know, I hate motivation, but I want to, like, y'all, it's okay. Like, don't give up. Like, it could always be worse. You know what I'm saying? We got to be grateful. Like I was just saying, like, my great grandpa was a slave, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to be grateful for what we do have, you know? We got clean water. We got, you know, not for the average everyday American, we still living a lot better than a lot of people in other countries. Of course, it's cool to complain because there's a lot of messed up things, but it's a lot of good things as well. So I try to say, like, man, let's just be grateful. And be quick on your feet. Don't get stuck in the sand of thinking in your ways of, like, this how this always gonna be. Like, as you can see, things are always clearly changing as well. And okay, we got look and wrist. Do I want to do this one? Okay, I might skip this one. Okay, the last one I'm gonna do is what is enough. So we got Rajad Kutda. I probably killed this name. I'm sorry. So the first story, he's mid-40s, CEO of one of the world's most prestigious consulting firms. He retired in 2007, was working with the UN, doing philanthropic work with Bill Gates. Man, he got it going, bro. It's on and popping. He came from nothing and turned it to $100 million, bro. What it is, centimillionaire? I think, and that's 2008. 5% annual return on that type of money equates to $600 an hour. What the world? We wanted to be a billionaire, and he wanted it real bad. So he got $100 million, but he like, man, I got to get this billion. I need it. I need a B. He sat on the directors of Goldman Sachs and was around them folks. So, you feel me? He hungry. In 2008, Goldman Sachs was in trouble, but Warren Buffett was going to invest $5 billion into the bank to help it stay alive. So Kutda heard about that before the public. So he like, oh shit. 16 seconds after hearing this, Kutda, he locked in. So he told his hedge fund manager about that. So basically, it's insider trading. You can't do that. And the hedge fund manager struck. So Goldman stock surged because you remember Warren Buffett was gonna put $5 billion in, but nobody knew this. It's obviously the people that are inside, but you can't do that. That's illegal. That's very illegal. That's cheating. You remember we got the SEC. They don't play that flag on the play, man. So once the public was informed, the hedge fund manager made a quick M. That was one example. My bad, y'all. SEC say Kutda insider tips led to $17 million of profit. Can't do that. He went to jail because. But let's look at it for an example. Okay, he has 100 M's. He's up 100 M's. And now he's trying to get to a B to the point he's being unethical for it. So what is enough? Easy money, easy case. Kutda and Roger went to prison for insider trading. Bernie Madoff making $25 million a year. I forgot his story. You know, he talked about it in the book. But doing illegal stuff, you know what I'm saying? So we have to ask, like, what is enough? And I think a lot of times we got to find that balance. Of course, we do want to strive for more. We want to always achieve more. But when do we realize what's enough? You know, when we're talking about family, spending time with family instead of, you know, you gotta know when to scale back. And it's a really, really hard balance to find. Why do you have people that have such massive amounts of wealth and they still want more by being greedy? What's enough for you? You have to get the goalposts to stop moving eventually. And it's hard to do in America because the way we've been taught is to always get more. Whether it be materialistic, get the nicer car, get the bigger house, keep going, you know what I'm saying? But we have to understand, like, we can't keep chasing to infinity because when do we stop? If expectations rise with results, there's no logic in striving for more because you'll feel the same after putting in extra effort. It gets dangerous when it takes to having more money, more power, more etc. increases ambition faster than satisfaction. One step forward pushes the goalpost 2 steps ahead. Happiness equals results minus expectations. Social comparison is the problem here. That when we look at what the next person is doing, we're gonna always want to be like, damn, I gotta do more. And that's really bad. And we all compare ourselves in there. But you have to train your mind to be content more than you comparing. Because it's always gonna be somebody with more money than you, with more, you know what I'm saying? So you have to learn to be content in your situation. And it's really hard in a world where we just always see somebody doing really, really good, and you gotta be happy for them, but you have to be content and happy in your own situation and learn your own pace. Let's look at it. You got the rookie baseball player earning $500,000 per year. By our definition, he's rich. He in that top 1%. But when you put him beside Mike Trout, it's a little different. Mike Trout is earning $36 million per year, compared to if you put Mike Trout beside the top hedge fund manager who's earning $340 million per year, compared to if you put the hedge fund manager beside Warren Buffett, compared to if you put that Warren Buffett beside, you get what I'm saying? So it's always going to be somebody doing more, always somebody doing better, but what's good enough for you? It's always someone with more. What's enough for you? The ceiling of social comparison is too high. A battle that can never be won, and the only way to win is to not fight to begin with. Being content, learning to move at your own pace. And that's very cliche, but once you learn to find your stride, you can't lose. Accept that you might have enough, even if it's less than those around you. This is where you have to log off the social pages here and there and find out what works for you. How can you compare to what you don't see? But even then, back in the day, you still can see how other people are doing by like conversation and workplace, you know what I'm saying? But it's learning to be content with your own path and own speed. Enough is not too little, because you know you do gotta find that balance of like sometimes you do gotta strive for more. You leave an opportunity on the table, but you do gotta learn like eventually, like I don't know how to, I think you get what I'm saying. Like yes, strive for more, but learn and find your pace of like what's good enough for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because eventually you're just going to be chasing forever. But I think that's what we're going to start there today. I might give y'all a part 2. Like I said, there was so many chapters I didn't talk about. And please excuse the notes, man. I was just scrabbling. But we got the psychology of money. If you made it this far, man, I truly appreciate y'all, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Like I said, I'm be coming every week. Hopefully 2-3 times a week. Yeah. I took me a little break, and I had to tap in with the playoffs. Man, they knocked us out, but, you know, we still pushing. We're going to be ready next season. But I think I went over everything I went over. If you do get the chance, please read the book, The Psychology of Money. Super duper digestible. Got a lot of videos coming out these next coming weeks. We're going to be talking about the overspent American. I'm probably do 2 parts of that one. And we just going to keep the ball rolling, man. Appreciate y'all. Y'all stay blessed.